Ioto was staring at a dying firefly, which she buried afterwards and prayed silently for. While doing this, a mysterious firefly begins to speak to her and leads her to a place where it gave her a mysterious egg. The egg was given to her for free, since it was her first time. In her dream, that same night she wakes up in her school surprised. In the dream, a series of strange phenomena begin to occur, such as a talking toilet paper telling her to crack open the egg, which she did. The egg somewhat hatched and a young girl came out of it. Then some strange beings called See No Evils, wielding knives, began chasing the both of them. The strange girl revealed that it is Ai's duty to protect her, and that the strange beings are after her only, and not Ai. Ai also discovers that she is immortal while she's in this world in her dreams. She cannot die as long as her heart and eyes are safe. She also found out that the See No Evils will not chase after her, even though she doesn't run. To this end, she decided not to run with the strange girl anymore, but after a moment of self-reflection, she deemed it imperative to help the girl. To this end, she fought and killed the Wonder Killer who wanted to kill the girl. After killing the girl's Wonder Killer, she found that the statue of her dead friend was beginning to get warm. This was when she realized the completion of this game, where she would save the girls that hatched from the Wonder Egg in her dream, would bring her friend who died by suicide back to life. In the second episode of the anime, Ai meets Neru, a dark-skinned girl who was also playing the game in a bid to bring her sister back to life upon completing all the missions. Ai and Neru converse for a bit, after which she collected her phone number. Meanwhile, Ai's mom confronts her about her mysterious injuries, which she refuses to explain to both her mom and her mom's lover, who happens to be a staff at her school. In her dream in this episode, she mistakenly breaks the egg and a young girl hatches from it. This time, she must also protect the girl from the girl's Wonder Killer and See No Evils. She manages to fight the Wonder Killer even though she was unable to see with her eyes as a result of them being covered with some sort of ink-like substance from the Wonder Killer. She manages to overpower the Wonder Killer and eliminates it. Afterwards, Ai goes to visit Neru at the hospital. It turned out that Neru was hospitalized after suffering severe injuries from her own dream. This was a result of her being too reckless. They talk for a bit on the rooftop of the hospital, and this marked the beginning of their friendship. Episode 3 unveils Rika, another young girl who's engaged in the game in a bid to bring her friend back to life. Rika appears to have a cheerful, loud, and greedy personality. Above all, she's shown to be borderline insensitive on some occasions. Rika and Ai meet with each other, and they both hit it off, eventually becoming friends. On their first encounter, Rika asks Ai to borrow some of her money, which the latter agreed to. She used the money to buy an egg. After purchasing the egg, they both visit Neru at the hospital, but Neru didn't seem to like Rika because of her attitude. Ai takes Rika to her home, and her mother was surprised and excited to see her bring a friend home. Her mom gave Rika a warm welcome, and both friends conversed for the better half of the day, before eventually going to bed with their Wonder Eggs in their arms. Rika and Ai eventually find themselves in the same dream, and it's Rika's world. They were told that this occurred because they both slept close to each other and at almost the same time. It was also revealed that Ai was in Rika's dream because Rika's resolve and feelings were stronger. They both tag-teamed and defeated a bunch of See No Evils, and they also got to fight the Wonder Killer, and they eventually got to defeat it. Both girls that they saved are twins who committed suicide after their idol did the same thing. Momo is introduced in episode 4, fighting to save her protective Miwa in her dream. She must protect Miwa in the world inside her dream. Her world resembles an abandoned train station. Since Momo is shown to be quite strong, she eventually killed off the Wonder Killer in no time. Meanwhile, Rika and Ai as a tag team were still finding it difficult to eliminate the Wonder Killer in their shared dream. After a few struggles, they eventually emerged victorious against the Wonder Killer. It was later revealed that their physical attributes in real life had been greatly enhanced as a result of the rigorous activities and battles that occur in their dreams. Later in the episode, Ai is bewildered that Neru runs a very big company with a lot of employees. Even more, Neru is the president and she owns a limousine. The girls eventually encounter Momo, and Rika mistook her for a boy and calls her handsome. Momo, however, revealed to the trio that she is in fact a girl, and they were all surprised. Then they began to compliment her physical attributes. Neru's dream begins in the 4th episode of the anime. Here she fights against a Wonder Killer that resembles an octopus trapped inside an astronaut suit. She performs some fancy moves, shoots the Wonder Killer several times, and eventually kills it. Momo, Neru, and Rika visit Ai at her home. Ai's mom was super excited to see them and gave them a warm welcome, as she had never seen Ai bring so many friends home before. Here, Momo also revealed that Mr. Sawaki, the man who teaches at Ai's school and is seeing her mom, is her uncle. Rika then teases Momo by saying some unpleasant and creepy things about Momo's uncle and what he might do to Ai if he marries Ai's mom. These talks greatly displeased Momo, and she defended her uncle. positing that her uncle is not such a kind of person. In Neru's dream, she must protect a young and beautiful girl against some mysterious strong wonder killers. She found it difficult to kill them despite shooting them multiple times. They kept saying, "Mirror, who's the fairest of them all," a popular phrase from Snow White. Being an incredibly smart and logical person, Neru was able to decode the puzzle, and she shot off the hair of the girl under her protection. This essentially ruined the girl's beauty, rendering her ugly, and it killed off her wonder killers. The episode ends with all 4 girls going to collect more eggs from Akka and Ura-Akka, the 2 guys behind all of this stuff. The 6th episode starts with Ai and her protectee fleeing from See-No Evils, but now the See-No Evils begin to evolve to haters, and this is a result of hatred and spite of Ai being the hero of her world, and because she's been standing out in her world. The same phenomenon also occurs in the dreams of the other girls. The haters are said to be extremely powerful as a group, but they do not have the courage to show their faces, hence the reason why they put on masks. Ai and her protectee manage to hide out but are soon found by the haters. During breakfast, Ai's mom tries to convince her to talk with Mr. Sawaki, and Ai posits that she'll give it a thought. The girls visit Akka and Ura-Akka for a solution to the haters, and the girls are then given special pendants. When released, a certain creature emanates from each pendant. These creatures help the girls by feeding on the haters. At home, Mr. Sawaki and Ai reveal that they plan on dating each other and ask for her permission. Shocked and annoyed, she reveals that she's in no position to give them permission, and they should do whatever pleases them. She later confronts a difficult wonder killer who is invincible in her dreams. She manages to kill the wonder killer with the help of her protectee, a young girl who can see and hear ghosts and otherworldly creatures, who helped her see the creature. In the 7th episode, we get to see Ai going to school. This would be her first time attending school since the death of her best friend, Koido. The girls gather for a break where they discuss a lot of things. Here, Rika revealed how much she hates her mom, the reason being that her mom refused to show her dad. She shows the girls 5 pictures of 5 different men with her mom, and reveals that one of these men is her father. She also told the girls that her mother isn't sure which of the men is her father. Her friends were shocked as they realized just how complicated her life had been. It was also made known on several occasions she had tried to commit suicide, hence the various cuts on her arms. In her dreams, she was nearly killed by the wonder killer and her protectee, who capitalized on her ugly childhood and tried to lure her into death. She was, however, saved by her friends who called out to her from their respective dreams, and told her to be strong and not fall victim to her past. The words from her friends eventually worked and made her snap out of her delusions. She eventually fought off and killed the wonder killer, and she was grateful to her friends for saving her life. Pretty much the whole of episode 8 was a recap of the events that had occurred in the series thus far. It was revealed that Rika was fighting to bring back a fan called Jamie, who deeply admired her as a young idol in junior high. Rika thought her fan was a rich patron, but later found out that the fan was a shoplifter who sold the stolen products in order to give her the monetary proceeds. Rika was infuriated at this and told the fan that she never wants to have anything to do with her ever again. She even went as far as calling Jamie fat and ugly. When Jamie committed suicide, she felt really pained that her harsh words pushed and made Jamie kill herself. This was revealed to be the sole reason why Rika is participating in the games. She wants to bring Jamie back to life. In this same episode, it is also revealed that Ai stopped attending school because Koido, her best friend, committed suicide. She felt guilty for not being able to help Koido. She, however, started going to school later on. Momo, on the other hand, was revealed to always have female crushes. She looked like a boy, and because of this, many females kept falling in love with her. Her best friend made a move on her in school, but she turned her down, and her actions made her friend commit suicide. This was the reason why she decided to participate in the game so that she can bring her friend back to life. Ai, Momo, and Rika were shocked to their bones when Neru invited them to her home. They even thought she was sick because this was such a rare act from her. While in the company, where her home also is, they find out that Neru belongs to Japan Plotty, a group of individuals with very high IQs. Besides this, Neru is just 14, and she already owns her own company, a huge one for that matter. Here they also got to see Kotobuki, Neru's highly intellectual friend who was on life support after performing a series of near-death experiments on herself. Neru also saw Kotobuki in her dream, and this made her understand that Kotobuki was already dead. In her dream, the wonder killer that she had to kill was a highly appraised, intellectual, and egotistic scientist. She eventually killed the scientist by solving his puzzle. Kotobuki urged Neru to disconnect her body from life support, as she opined that government officials would confiscate her body and use it as a lab sample due to the fact that she's an albino with a very high IQ, as she also belongs to the Japan Plotty group. Neru found it extremely difficult to perform the request, but with the help of Ai, she eventually did it. At the beginning of the 10th episode, Ai and Rika confront Akka and Uraraka, after discovering they've been behind the whole scheme. Neru meets with them and they both get excited to see her as she has a new hairstyle. Neru reveals that both Akka and Uraraka are the founders of Japan Plotty. When she was explaining more about them, they got a text from Momo telling them that she got asked out on a date, and they all left in excitement to meet with her despite wanting to ask both Akka and Uraraka a lot of questions. Momo reveals to them that there would be no second date with the boy because he thought she was a boy, and he invited her out on a date. She dressed in a ladylike manner to the date. This was when the boy realized that she was indeed a girl. At school, Mr. Sawaki invites Ai to his art exhibition as he was about to quit teaching and pursue a living as an artist. In Momo's dream, her protectee, a girl named Kaoru, is a young girl who identifies as a male on the inside. They eventually confront Kaoru's Wonder Killer, her kendo instructor. A battle ensued and Momo managed to defeat the Wonder Killer. After the defeat, Kaoru confessed that she had fallen in love with Momo and gave her a kiss just before disappearing. With this, Momo had completed all her missions and her friend, whom she was trying to bring back to life, was awoken. Rika in her own dream completes all of her missions and her fan comes back to life. After this, a strange being appears before her and kills Monin, her pet that helps her eat all the haters. The strange being named Dot breaks her swords and tries to feed her the head of Monin. Ai, on the other hand, managed to sneak into Akka and Uraraka's. After peeping around the house for a while, she's confronted by Uraraka, and he explains the whole story of how he and Akka began the Wonder Egg Priority game. In the past, he and Akka were working at a research lab and decided to create a girl just for fun. The girl was named Frill, and she was given all the characteristics and emotions of humans. They got along with Frill and they treated her like a daughter because she made them feel extremely happy. Everything changed when Frill, out of jealousy, killed Akka's pregnant wife in a bid to eliminate the baby. The baby, however, survived. This act vexed the duo, and they locked Frill up in the basement of their house. When Akka's new daughter, Himari, Uraraka's niece, had grown up to a certain age, she committed suicide. Frill, despite being locked up, was found to be the culprit of the suicide, and it also seemed like she was responsible for the suicides of many other girls. This prompted the duo to start the Wonder Egg Priority game, to save other young girls who have committed suicide in real life, with the ultimate goal of the game being to bring Himari back to life and defeat Frill. In the last episode, the other girls discuss completing their respective missions while Ai prepares for her final mission. In her dream, her protectee was herself, from a parallel world, while her protectee Wonder Killer was Mr. Sawaki. This was based on her perception of Mr. Sawaki as a bad person, and as the cause of Koido's suicide. Mr. Sawaki proved to be an incredibly tough opponent for her as she struggled to find a way to finish him off. She agreed that Mr. Sawaki was a good person, but the Wonder Killer insisted that she was being fooled by his handsome face and cover. The Wonder Killer also posited that she was in love with Mr. Sawaki. None of these were true, they were just an expression of the thoughts and suspicion that she had been harboring towards Mr. Sawaki for a very long time. She managed to break free from her thoughts and restraints, and eventually managed to kill the Wonder Killer. Her mission was thus completed, following her victory, and friend, Koido, was therefore brought back to life. Following her friend's revival, a strange creature appeared and attacked. She was able to counter the first attack. The second attack cost her her parallel self, who stepped in to save her, an eye. Terrified, she awoke from her sleep. She eventually managed to fall asleep again and thanked her parallel self for saving her. In real life, she wept as she had finally achieved her mission. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you in the next one.